All right, instead of having to go through another 30 seconds of dead time, we're just going to get this started. So, today we're going to be reviewing, do we really have our quote unquote stuff together? We got a couple videos and some articles to review, and we have a panel with us today. So, I will kind of bring them in one by one. and kind of asked them to give a short statement of what do you think it means to have our shit together. Go ahead, start with Crusader Nate. Do you know if he's there or not? If you're speaking, you're muted, Nate.
Yeah. Sorry about that. That's me multitasking. Sorry.
No worries.
Well, some say I have all my stuff all together. I just lack the banding to hold everything to the pallet. So, I mean, I do what I can. I'm still a work in progress, but that's just me.
All right. We'll bring on Cliff next. Welcome, Cliff.
What's going on?
Not a lot. What do you think it means to have your shit together?
Honestly, I think it's just kind of prepare yourself for being able to handle long haul hardship situations. You got to put all the work up front first. That way, if you're ever dealing with a hard situation, it's not as stressful to deal with. But that's about it.
All right. And we're going to bring in our fellow soldier raccoon, Trash Ops.
So what's up?
Hey, so what do you think it means to have your shit together?
Oh boy. Okay. have your shit together. So basically, have your life in order. Have your have your job in order. Have your family affairs in order, and just kind of have it, kind of just doing your thing. You know, you're not letting outside influences dictate your life. You're just ready for anything that's possible, anything that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of you guys are correct, and I did screen a little bit of these sources. I didn't want to already know what they were, so that way we can get a live reaction, but just enough to be like, is this relevant or not? So we'll bring up the first one, which I believe is Reddit. Oh no, it's not Reddit, but this is the closest thing I got to that is sweet to the point. Have or get your shit together to become effective, organized, and skillful. Which is not a bad way to do it. Not a bad way to describe it, especially if it's a really short sentence. All right, so we got that one down. Setting the next one up. This is the one from Reddit, which I kind of thought was awkward that Reddit had some actual good points for once. So, what does it mean to have your shit together? This is a phrase that can be subjectively go into many directions depending on interpretation. I'd love to know what this means to you. Be organized. Have an idea what you want to do. Have your money situation straight. A's in your bills are being paid and cutting down / getting no debt. Your job is straight, no real issues. Your life is low on drama. That's probably really important. Your schedule isn't hectic due to idiocy. And then we got somebody who broke it down into some segments here financially. Not living paycheck to paycheck. Well, that would be nice. Putting savings aside for emergencies or retirement. Yep, I would say that's one way or one part of getting your shit in order. Hey, Roxy, go lay down. Quit playing with the cat. Yeah, I know. She's so fun to play with up until you're bleeding. All right, emotionally, understanding their own needs. Well, yeah, I guess you could say that. Being able to control their temper, yes. Not having severe outbursts when they're upset, yes. Be the stoic man in the room when shit is going to hell.
What's that like?
I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out too, but I don't know if I've experienced it, just don't know how to describe it or what. Having helping coping habits, meditation, exercise, deep breathing, no substance abuse. I think that's one way to get to not have to have your shit in order, because the more you introduce substance abuse, so whether it is alcohol, drugs, whatever, they take a toll on your body. They also take a toll on your time, especially
I was being a little
if you need to
sarcastic.
recover. All right, having a semblance of an idea of career trajectory. Okay. More important around the age 25. All right, that's not too bad. Having and working towards professional goals, attending school, saving, upgrading, enroll in school, prepare for advancement, and then having a loose plan for how to achieve that. Having a plan, I think, is a great way to go about how you're going to do anything. And then treating their job with respect in terms of showing up to work on time and doing good work there. Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys want to discuss some of these?
Well, you kind of brushed on a lot of stuff there. I mean, you can kind of distill it all the way down a little bit further and simplify it. As a wise man once told me many years ago, proper planning prevents poor performance.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Very, very true, because you can discover things that when you're doing the planning, you can account for some of the, let's just say, unanticipated consequences, because you'll think about it during the brainstorming of the planning, but
Yeah.
you can't account for all of it, and some of them doesn't require an accounting for. So yeah, having a plan is going to help you out.
Yeah.
Matt, Cliff?
No, I think. Oh, going ahead.
No. You go ahead. I'm thinking of something.
Well, I think planning ahead does work, and one of the things that was brought up on the earlier list, though, is trying to mitigate as much of the outside idiocy as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can try to plan for that, but you also have to realize how much worse people have gotten in their terms of, well, we've become idiocracy at this point.
Yes.
So being able to
Yes, we
account
have.
for that more and more that's actually adding to more stressors on a lot of people. And then it kind of takes away from people having the at least the confidence that they have their shit together. So, I mean, these are all good points, but I kind of want to go with some of the counterpoints that what could actually kind of screw that up somewhat. And I know that's going to be a factor in that.
Yeah. All right, Matt. You
Yeah,
said you were going to have something?
I wanted to springboard off of Cliff what he was saying about having a plan. Well, the reality is, even if you have a plan, you can't expect the unexpected. So there is usually little nicks that happen and just completely throw the plan out the window. And usually those are the ones that get you.
Yeah.
You can have everything watertight and you're ready to go, but one little spring leak this way and that's it. The plan is done.
Yep.
And I think that's a problem that a lot of people have, is that when that unexpected thing comes up, it just completely throws everything at 180 and they don't know what to do.
Yeah, having a plan for all those unanticipated consequences or factors, even if you don't know what they are, just have a plan on how to go about identifying it, creating a plan around it, execute the plan. If it works, great. If it doesn't, go back to step one, reevaluate, try a new plan, execute, evaluate.
Right, and I think that's the problem a lot of people have, is they look straight to the goal, like the straight line, straight as an arrow, but they don't think about, well, what if this goes this way, to the left or to the right? And when that happens, it ends up throwing people off the objective.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I do have that kind of problem. Sometimes,
Right, you just put the blinders on and look for the goal.
No, it's more like you end up it's like an anxiety response.
Hmm.
You worry about the unintended consequences, or you worry about some of the possibly known consequences, and it creates indecision and procrastination.
Yeah, they'll get you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. I'll go ahead and drop that one. And then I know Nate is checking on a couple things. So before we go into our rest of our sources, found a little short video with Jordan Peterson. And he kind of addresses this a little bit because I think they're talking about something else, not entirely how to get your shit together. But I thought it was a pretty good little clip. It's only a couple minutes long.
Also, just keep in mind, everybody, this isn't a one size fits all. You need to find your own way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, yes. We just give you the tools that help you get to there. You're going to have to do the work yourself. We can't create the plans for you, but we can do is give you some resources on how to create your own plan. All right, let me go back here, full screen that. And play.
On that point of understanding my inadequacies or someone's inadequacies, I really believe that it's really difficult to undergo self-development if you don't have self-awareness. And I was really trying to understand from your writings how someone is to build their self-awareness. It's almost like the unknown unknown. If you don't have it, how do you build the thing?
Oh, I know a good exercise for that. It's like a prayer in some sense. In fact, I would say it's proper prayer. If you want to know something about yourself, sit on your bed one night and say to yourself, you got to mean this. Like, you got to be desperate. This is no game, this. It's like, my life is not everything I want it to be. And perhaps it's not everything that I need it to be. And by need, I mean, my life is so unbearable that the suffering that's attendant upon that is make me nihilistic, cynical, bitter, resentful, homicidal, genocidal, unable to have a good relationship, prone to punish people for their virtues because of my jealousy, driving the proclivity to see evil everywhere except within my own heart. Like, these are problems, man. And you ask yourself, you sit on the bed and say, okay, man, I'm ready to learn something. Like, what's one thing I'm doing wrong that I know I'm doing wrong, that I could fix, that I would fix? It's like, you meditate on that, you'll get an answer. And it won't be one you want, but it'll be the necessary one. And it's often something that will point you to small things. So Carl Jung said, people in the modern world don't see God because they don't look low enough. And so imagine you're in your messy bedroom, and you're sitting on the edge of the bed trying to have an honest dialogue with yourself. And the little voice says, it's pretty disgusting in here. And you think, well, I'm way above such trivial niceties as organizing my room. It's like, well, that's pride. That's arrogance. If you're above organizing what's actually yours, how in the world are you ever going to organize anything else? And so you get on your knees and you think, well, it's time to, take a brush to the toilet. And maybe that's where you start. And that works. Like, that works. You start making those micro improvements, like real micro improvements, real on the ground, actual micro improvements to things that are wrong. You'll improve unbelievably rapidly.
All right. What do you guys think of Jordan's words there?
He's quite true with what he's saying.
Yeah, he's got some pretty good points. I mean, he says a lot of things I disagree with at times, but
like that.
Well, yeah. Well, he did make that statement. What was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? But
I don't
a couple
remember
months.
This one.
Yeah, he did, because he said that men should stand up, be a man, get married, have kids, start a family, take charge of your life. He said, he made kind of a bunch of disparaging comments, because he was completely unaware of how the family court system works, how the child support system works. He was completely unaware of how modern women have polluted and corrupted the modern dating culture. And I think it was back in May, end of May, beginning of June timeframe, where he came out and
Mhm.
said he never should have said that.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean,
Well,
you know, in order for people to see what it is, you have to show them the ugly truth, and it's out there. It's just that some people
Yeah.
just don't. A lot of people simply just don't know what's going on out there. You know, and unfortunately, you have to show them the true ugliness of what it's like out there, and they'll realize, wow, this is bad. This is really
Well,
bad.
remember Jordan Peterson, I believe he got married in the mid to late 80s, early 90s.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and he married his childhood and neighborhood and high school sweetheart.
Yeah, so
he-
he's been out of the game for a significant amount of time. I think
I
the
think he
same-
said
Go
said that him and his wife have known each other since they were 4 years old.
I believe so.
She lived across the street or just slightly down the road from him, and they've known each other their entire lives. But when he left Canada and came down to the US after everything that's happened the past 4 or 5 years, and he saw the situation in the case in Tennessee where they changed the laws on paternity fraud, and he said, well, why are they doing this? Why is this a problem? Why does this law have to be altered, and why does this have to be pushed? And a couple of the guys from the Daily Wire were bringing it up and showed a lot of the stuff where guys are being falsely accused of paternity. And he actually had a meeting with a guy from the Daily Wire that organized and set something up with a guy that did 12 or 15 years in prison for failure to pay child support, even though a
Oh, wow.
DNA test proved he wasn't the father. But the woman knew he had a good job and was a stable guy, and knew she would be able to, milk him for money to support the kid. And she knew she was fairly confident she knew exactly who the father was. She just knew the father of the kid could not support her or the kid, so she went after the safe bet. And I think she got 2 years, one or 2 years in prison for paternity fraud, and I think she's on like 5 years of probation, 4 or 5 years of probation for it.
Yet this dude has lost, over a decade of his life because of somebody's fraudulent claim.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, when she got sentenced, the same judge was the one that allowed the ruling for the guy that she put in prison,
Wow.
where for child support, the judge has just ruled on the case that he could now, the guy that she had, she destroyed his life, he can now go after her for false imprisonment, and he can go after her civilly for what she did to him.
Good. And hopefully
But that's
he
just
can
one little
get-
victory in the pot. It's getting worse
It
out there
is.
every day.
It
Yeah.
is. It
I mean,
is.
I'm going
is.
to tell
As
you.
long
I'm going to tell you
as-
from my perspective, right? So, just a little
Okay.
background here. I'm from the late millennial, early Gen Z generation, and just about every female I've spoken to and been with these past few years, even past COVID now, all of them have an OnlyFans, and they're quite frankly proud of it. Any female I've spoken to, whether it be the young cashier at Walmart to your regular girl on Tinder, I ask her, "Hey, do you have an OnlyFans?" And they all say yes. I've never met
Wow.
one that said no, I don't have one, or they find it repulsive, and they're really proud of it too. And it's just that, Huh?
Yeah, it's like they're being conditioned to do that.
yeah,
Mhm. They are.
Because there's a lot of single moms out there who are telling their daughters, you don't need no man. Use your body as a
Yeah.
source of income, which is no different than prostitution.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. I mean, I've even seen it to where the extreme of where she kept it like under wraps, because you can keep that stuff under wraps, and she has a perfectly good, like, I got one for you. There was this young lady, probably about in her mid-20s, and she was church-going girl. Everything was all good. Mom and dad are home. Everything's all good. But she kind of kept that under wraps with having the OnlyFans. She had that, and I believe a Fansly.
Yeah.
Ansley, like the same thing as OnlyFans. Just
Yeah, yeah. Except I
Pretty
think they take home more pay or something.
All right. Well, we
Yeah.
kind of waffled a little on that. Let's get back to, do we have our shit together? Because I'm pretty sure the girls who are doing OF emotionally don't have their shit together. Otherwise, they'd respect themselves a little bit
No, they don't.
more. to
Oh,
do
it's done. That's gone. I'm sorry. We're too far gone for this now.
Well, that's why we got to tell our daughters, our nieces, or the women that we have a sphere of influence on, you don't want to do this. This will ruin your life.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, I think we may be too late. The ship is already sinking. You know what I mean? You're saying, okay, let's try to put patch boards on the ship, and we taking about like a good couple gallons of water. We got like the bow is under the water at this point.
We won't know, but abandoning ship is quitting at the same time. Well, we
I
both
know.
it's totally lost. So let's move on to the next article here. What does it mean to have your shit together? Some of these sources too, you're gonna see a lot of feminine influence in it because it seems only women are writing about this stuff. Very few men are writing about it, at least in the articles that I could find.
Well, commercially available articles, because what is it, over 60% of most journalists and or writers for blogs or things like that are women. It's a very female dominated line of work. So,
All right. So I'm not going to go over line by line. Kind of just
Yeah.
cover the headlines and a little bit of that. Balance. They have your shit together is a variety of pillars of your life. Yes,
Mhm.
there are more than one pillar of your life, and you've got to keep them in balance because they keep sliding up and sliding down. Some are one of them slides down, the roof is unstable and collapses, and then you're just in a world of hurt.
mhm.
Okay, reading and learning. I think that's just a good idea for all adults. It doesn't stop after high school or college. Continuing education needs to be something that we're just doing as a hobby in our daily lives. Especially if you're like reading materials that can create new skills, advance your current skills, or things that you can apply in the future. So, like Nate is trying to get a lot of people to learn about ham radio,
Among
So
other
people-
things.
yeah, amongst other things. And he's been pretty successful with quite a few guys in our little community. And it has purpose because we could stay in communication with each other casually, or let's say an emergency situation happens and the digital network is down because the majority of our communications are done digitally now instead of analog, which would be ham radio. But ham radio has, correct me if I'm wrong, it does have the ability to combine both digital and analog with certain apps.
Mhm. Yeah, there's certain ways of doing it. I'm by no means an expert. I'm still learning about a lot of things. But yeah, I mean, that's one thing I have noticed is there's a very heavy dependence on the internet, cell phones, modern communication technology. And that's something that I've seen fail just in my lifetime. My lifetime alone, I've seen moments where cell phones don't work, weather emergencies, storms, things like that, power outages, stuff like that. Towers go down, and everybody thinks, well, just get a handheld radio. Yeah, that might get you 1 to 3 or maybe 5 miles if you're lucky. If you're lucky.
It depends on elevation, everything that's in the way that it absorb radio signal, etc.
Yeah.
All right. Getting to the next line here, knowing yourself or know thyself.
Yep.
Know yourself,
Mhm.
even when there are traits of yourself you consider undesirable or maybe embarrassed about.
Yeah.
Because as
Yeah.
long as you know it, you can make a plan to either overcome or eliminate it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, look at many people. Okay, look at the body positivity movement out there. All
Right.
those fat fucks out there. I'm just straight up saying it. It's like they're saying, "Oh yeah, I'm doing so great for myself," but it's like you're gonna fucking die of a heart attack before you even reach 40. I mean,
Mhm.
and they don't want to acknowledge such a simple problem like that. These people they refuse to. They probably know it themselves, but they probably refuse to acknowledge it because then they're basically going to get to a point to where they're going to realize it's your own fault and they don't want to deal with it. They have to keep blaming somebody else. Oh, it's this processing food company for making me so fat, or it's fucking McDonald's because their French fries are so great, or something like that. Yeah,
deflection of guilt or deflection of responsibility when it
bingo.
should be on the individual. Uh, I mean, they bought and paid for that Big Mac meal and supersized it.
Mm-hmm.
They could have taken that money and went and bought a salad, a
Yep.
actually quite large salad and filling salad, instead
Right.
of a 2,000 calorie meal.
Or people wondering why they're so broke, even though they go out and eat every night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
another thing, another great example of that is I was watching a video guy was talking about growing up around and knowing Chris Farley when he was younger. And I guess every time he ate steak, he would put a little pat of butter on each bite of steak.
Oh, he really loved his butter.
Mhm.
Yeah. And if you look at, I mean, okay, a little bit of butter, yeah, fine. That's not a problem. But when you're putting, a half a teaspoon or half a tablespoon of butter on top of every bite of a porterhouse steak you're eating, do you realize how many extra fat calories you're putting in your body? Do you realize what you're actually asking your body to digest?
I mean,
Well, it depends. I mean,
well,
if
Nate
you
and I
need
are
that for
very.
Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Matt. Finish your point.
right now, it depends. I mean, if you're like exercising and weightlifting, definitely doing that helps in the long run. That's the good fats you need in your body, not the polysaturated bullshit.
Right. Well, there's a difference between going through half a pound of butter on like a 1 pound steak or pound and a half steak and not being physically active. I mean, Chris Farley is not known for being a semi-pro athlete or being extremely active. He didn't. Everybody who knew him, even people who just watched him on TV, could tell that he was not an extremely active individual.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that kind of assisted with his demise. So
Mhm.
knowing yourself, and being accountable for what you're doing to yourself and adapting, building on to the next point, adapting to what you're doing, adapt your eating to what you're eating, how you're eating, and eating clean, and what you're putting in and out, what you're putting in your body, and what you're demanding out of it later.
Yes, the more people start researching what foods are better for you with modern day studies and science, the more you realize that what they told us when we were younger to give us that this is how you're supposed to deal with your nutrition is
Mhm.
entirely ass backwards.
Yep.
But Jay's got a good question here, and we'll answer that before moving on. Butter or margarine? I'm going to say butter because I believe margarine is made by a process that introduces carcinogens.
Well, butter,
Yeah, it's also seed oils. Stay away from seed oils.
yeah.
Yep.
Butter's, if you can make your own butter, that's the best. But margarine, if I remember, is 1 or 2 molecules off of being a plastic. It's an emulsified.
Oh,
Yeah, it's an emulsified oils that are actually put together, and you could just play around with the chemistry of margarine just the slightest amount and make a plastic out of it. back
Wow.
when margarine was introduced into grocery stores and everything else, it was actually they used a pink food coloring in it, so it wouldn't look the same as butter. Not many people are aware of that.
I never knew about the pink part.
Mhm.
All right, we'll get that comment down. Oh, yeah. Looks like Sarabin already kind of said it too.
Always fear the pink part.
No. All right. Adaptability. Oh, knowing thyself. One last thing I want to cover, because we know many in the community either have struggled with this or are currently struggling with it, and that is addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it is to substance abuse, whether it is to pornography, or anything that is a unhealthy obsession that is either making your life harder to live or being a detriment to you. Billy did a stream a few months ago. Well, it's been a little longer than a few months, about the dangers of alcoholism. And it's considered to be one of the legal and quote unquote safe vices. There's probably no such thing as a safe vice, just a safe dose. Be aware of that. I learned that I needed to cut down on my drinking. I've done that pretty significantly. And I hope to do it more to like where Nate's at, where it's just a few times a year, but it's going to be some damn good booze when you do.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You know, it's a really good alternative, and I think hopefully you guys can chime in. Is that if you like beer because it's it's hot outside and you just came back in from being outside, honestly, the same sensation of the fizziness is lemon lime seltzer. Laugh at it all you want, but I'm telling you, if you have the craving for something bubbly, drink that, and that all goes away. Like your
Really?
the craving goes away immediately.
No,
I
I
can kind
haven't
of see
heard
that.
that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, lemon
That's why I
lime
want
seltzer water. And it's
that's
in a
why I
can. It's the same mechanism as cracking open the can, the hissing sound and the bubbly sensation. And it's healthy too. It's just seltzer water.
Oh, yeah, no, it's like people who chew gum instead of smoke or chew.
Yeah, that are using
It's a what is it? An addiction deflection or adaptation.
I think so. Yeah.
Because
You
the
gotta
addiction's not gone,
It's a
but what you've done is
substitution.
you pass
That's what
it
it is.
on to another action.
Addiction substitution. That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, the best is the bubbly lemon lime. If you can find it in your grocery store, that's always really good. But any lemon lime seltzer water in a can, I'm telling you, when you have the craving for a beer, crack one of those babies open and it'll help you with the sensation of having a cold beer.
Might have to try that. Because I make my drinks with gin, lemon lime squeeze, and soda water. So I can just take the gin out and then just drink that. And that's good because you get some additional electrolytes with the citrus, which is just good in general for you. All right. We're going to move on here to adaptability. We all know what adaptability is. It means adapting to the environment or adapting to a situation you're in. It's pretty self-explanatory. I guess, Cliff, you and I, we were Army vets. Adaptability was one of the pillars or one of the paramount factors of soldiering.
Yep.
Which makes us one of the most formidable militaries in the world, because when you study other militaries, especially European militaries now, they're still under this command structure that the frontline soldiers don't move an inch without a general say so about 1,000 miles away, where their command structure is extremely centralized. While ours is more decentralized, and we don't get punished for taking the initiative or seizing the initiative in battle. Same thing in life. You got you have an opportunity to seize the initiative to either improve your life or to take a factor of your life and make it better. Seize it. And when things are going bad, adapt. Don't get overwhelmed. Understand your situation, come up with a plan, execute plan.
Mm-hmm.
I know it sounds as simple as saying like 3 or 4 phases of what is it? We called it military decision making process. It's a little harder to do when you're under a lot of stress to remember all that, but at least that's the tool you could use, that when you're under that stress, you're not going to succumb to it. All right. And then we got a couple of suggestions here on how to get your shit together. This one here, take days off to get your shit in order, pretty much. Have a life admin day where you get things done that you've been putting off. Nobody likes taxes. What are you talking about? Calling the doctor, servicing your car, decluttering your wardrobe, cleaning the fridge, and the like. I like this one because some of the things that they're talking about are important tasks, and they're also talking about mundane tasks as well. You let the mundane sit and fester, it becomes a problem eventually if you don't take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do monthly or even weekly reviews. Check in with yourself and see what's working, what's not, and what you need to plan to do soon. I think one way to do that is the next step is journaling, because you can identify problems that you can't take care of that day and just write it in your book. I mean, I've got those of you who are familiar with the Army Green Books. We had to carry those around with us at all times because we need to write shit down all the goddamn time when we're in the military. And it does help you out in the civilian world as well, not just with your profession, but just daily things. Take note of times where you felt heavy negative emotions and see if it may be highlighting problem areas where you're out of alignment or unbalanced, where shit is slipping. This one sounds more of a directed towards females versus males. Yes, we could feel very heavy negative emotions just like anybody else. But I think we're naturally more adaptable to it than women are. Excuse me, had an air bubble there. Make a plan. We've kind of been talking about this a few times. This one I think is a good one. Make health a priority, because one of the things that can destroy your life entirely is a diagnosis of a chronic illness that you're going to have a demise, and probably a terrible one, but it's going to do it slowly. Or even if you have a curable illness, but you're going to have to go through treatment, it's kind of best to be physically fit as much as your body will allow you to be. I've got some outstanding injuries that put a hamper on my PT plan. When you got an elbow that feels like it's going to break after a couple reps of push-ups, that takes away a lot of exercise options. We got some of the last thoughts here, which we will damn, I had the word in my head. We're just not going to go over them at the moment. So, opinions?
I kind of don't have anything because it all hits the nail right on the head. Biggest thing though is plan ahead, and you don't have to have a generic plan as well to get your shit together, at least for like a daily or weekly basis. So that way you're not having to stress yourself out. If you have something like you're planning a family trip, or well, I know one example for me and my siblings is we got to plan our parents' 50th wedding anniversary. We got a year to do it. So we have a general idea of what we're doing now. Okay, we want to do a big family get together, huge family get together. So we'll get the generics down. Okay, we want to do catering for it. We know who we want to go to. Budgeting for it. How much is going to cost this? How much are we each going to have to pitch in? And then just making sure everybody, we send out the invites, make sure everybody gets there. So it's like you have to kind of piecemeal out what you need to do for the long haul. And that way, once you get to the day of the event, you've already had everything put in place. Yes, stuff is going to go awry, but so long as you can accomplish your goal with the most, I guess, satisfaction, you'll be okay.
Just execute the plan and adapt and overcome for the unintended factors.
Exactly. And just know that some of the unintended factors is just a part of life. As long as it doesn't cost anybody life, limb, or eyesight, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Seraphim. The best time to prep was a while ago. Well before I think a lot of us were aware of what was going on. That time has passed. We can't do anything about it, but what we can do is prep now, or we can make plans now. All right, I'm going to queue up the next one. The next one is a bit long. This is one we're not going to go line by line for quite obvious reason. Oh, of course it's got to put an ad up. 50 secrets to get your shit together when you're feeling really stuck in life. All right. False objectives. Yeah, I can see that. We should probably try to include in our plans objectives that we want to make, but we just kind of know we're not going to do in the first place. Or until certain task conditions and standards are met, you're not going to go to that objective. Make that like a long-term plan instead of what your short-term plans are. Knowing who you are or not knowing who you are, we kind of covered that already a little bit. Not showing your full capabilities. This one, I think this is a double-edged sword. You show your full capabilities, you've already broadcasted what you're capable of. It's always a good idea to have a couple secrets in the bank. Because when you can showcase your abilities and people can learn from your abilities, it's kind of surprising how often those people who just watch and observe end up becoming your replacement. Whether it's in personal life or whether it's your professional life. Not having enough support. This is kind of one of the things that I thought was a good point that was not mentioned in the previous articles, is having a support system in your life, whether it's like us. We do these streams to kind of have fun, a little bit of our own therapy, and at the same time, this is our support system with our community that we have built up between Ridiculous Regiment, Red Pill Rhino, and others. Our viewers got questions. We try to provide answers. Some of the viewers have come on to be some of our good friends. And having them in our lives helps us out, especially when we fall on tougher times. All right. Being in a bad relationship. This should seem obvious, but too many people are willing to stay in a bad relationship because a bad relationship is better than none. No, don't do that. It's just going to hurt you more in the long run versus cutting it off early especially when you know it's not going to be what you want forever. So whether that's your friends, your partners, being in a bad one just drains you out. You've outgrown your current situation. All right, I'll actually read this one. You know, there's so much out there, but you're scared to make a move. When you've outgrown a situation, it can be hard to move on, but it's necessary if you want to bring new energy into your life. Okay, I can see that. But some people are very content. They like their contentment, or they've built up everything in their life to get to a position of contentment. I think that works out. Or you keep, when you outgrow one situation to get to your final goal, which I think for a lot of us is just being able to be content with our lives without having external influences have power over us. So the more we get away from everything that we depend on from someone else, because now we're self-reliant, the better you're going to be. And using this to outgrow one chapter of that until you get to the next chapter and next chapter and next chapter until you get to the end of the book where you can live that peaceful, content life. Like, what is it? The meme from Star Wars, the prequel, the one where the dude has the secret of blowing up the Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
Gets approached after he retired by the Empire. Oh, you've what? You can build space stations, or you're a brilliant engineer, yet you're doing farming. And his response is, it's a quiet and honest life. Some of us just want that contentment. All right. You fear external judgment. I used to be really bad at this. But then again, I used to be the most harshest critic that I knew about myself. But in the military, people have very creative ways to judge you and to make you feel bad about it. I'd say probably don't work on those, or don't fear those. Dismiss them. What you don't need to fear is contrasting feedback, because feedback gives you a look. We've identified a problem with you. How are we going to fix it? Versus you're just a fuck up. You fucked that up. You fucked this up. You're a piece of shit. That doesn't do any good stuff. I would say dismiss those comments because they're probably coming from people who don't have their shit together, and just move on from there. Go ahead.
Well, I'd say in relation to what you're talking about when it comes to getting feedback, it needs to be specified. That's one of the biggest problems that a lot of groups have. I mean, it's even in a lot of businesses nowadays. I remember there was a parody video that came out. It was almost 20 years ago. It was your typical CGI, like basic. They look like play school people. And it was a guy getting evaluation from his team lead, and his team leads go, "You need to improve your work ethic." And the guy's like going, "Okay, how can I improve my work ethic?" And the team leads they go, "Oh, you need to be a team player. You need to show up with a better attitude." The guy basically the question is how. If you're going to give me feedback, you need to specify what needs to be improved upon. Yeah. So.
Well, yeah, because that's constructive, or was it constructive criticism?
Yeah, and the problem is it's because
you
have so many people.
Be constructive.
Yeah, well, you want to be constructive, but one problem you're having nowadays is that you have people that do not want to have the interaction of being told that they're screwing up by the numbers, and then they'll think they're being harassed or emotionally manipulated, or there's other stuff going wrong with them, and they claim, "Oh my gosh, I'm having so much emotional distress before this job because they're harassing me," or something like that. It's like, no, we're telling where you screw up at. And honestly, somebody that doesn't have that kind of emotional maturity to realize, okay, I need to figure out what's wrong with me. It's my fault. Going back to the previous point,
Mhm.
it means that they don't have their shit together. They aren't mature. Actually, I think it's actually another thing that you could probably add to how somebody has their shit together is, are they mentally and emotionally mature?
Mhm.
So sorry to kind of go
No,
spin that
it's
around.
well, this is why this is a panel discussion instead of like its own video
Yeah.
dedicated to itself, because a lot of us have different interpretations, like we saw with the introduction, of what we think having our shit together means.
Yeah.
And now we're reading other people's stuff and we've seen videos about it. We can take all these things and put it in our toolbox to help come up with our solutions to get ourselves in order.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. You feel disconnected from your values. Um, yeah, I can see that, but you've got to figure out what your values are first. I don't think you're going to have a lot of those set until after you've got some life experience away from your parents, when you're out in the world and you're seeing what other people do and don't do.
I also think that might be that might also depend on the environment that you're in. Is the
Yep.
environment that you're in conducive to your values, or do you have to adapt to the environment and its values?
Yeah, because you might have to adapt considering where you're at or what situation you're
Mhm.
in. You may have to compromise your values if it means you get to keep your life.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I guess I can't exactly fault somebody, because preservation of life is probably the paramount drive of human beings and most
Mhm.
life forms, next to the procreation to ensure the species survival, and then you have your food, shelter, etc.
Yep.
All right. You think change might mean losing something. Some things are worth losing or not holding on to anymore. Um, I can see how this can hold some people back. We were talking about, or we had a discussion, I believe, the other night about anxiety and how that holds some of us back. This might be a good part of it, whether it's an anxiety disorder or just a normal part of uh, regular human experience where you have anxiety that says, change means I lose XYZ. I've relied on XYZ for ABC. And to get rid of this, what will it do? Will it make my life better or will it make my life worse?
Mm-hmm.
And then some people just can't make up that difference and they stay in indecision. Um, embrace good change. Bad change, well, you may not have a choice on whether that happens or not, but the good changes, embrace them when they happen. You've lost hope for the future. We know a few people who are like that. And I try to tell them, we can't just lose hope, because we lose hope, then we've lost already. Well
Mm-hmm.
before the game has even finished. Finish the game out. Don't lose hope, because otherwise well, we've seen other people make others miserable about their black pilling.
Mm-hmm.
It's annoying, to be honest, because I think they're quitting way too early. There's a difference between, quitting when you can see the writing on the wall and you're just going to get ahead of it. And then there's a difference between, I just don't have hope for the future about XYZ. And there's still more work to be done to even be considered being at a loss or a losing position. You're overwhelmed or burned out. Yeah, a lot of us, I think, are experiencing that, whether it's in our personal or professional lives. life is a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps throwing shit at you left and right, and having to handle all that can feel overwhelming and or being burnt out. But I think that's where adaptability comes in. It's like, yes, you're overwhelmed, you're burnt out. Well, let's be adaptable. Let's take care of what we can take care of, make plans for what we can't, and then execute accordingly. Positives versus negatives are in competition. All right, how do they put this? You should always feel more positive than negative. And if the two sides are competing, you don't know which way to turn. Well, I guess, yeah, we always want to feel more positive than negative. Nobody likes feeling negative.
Mm-hmm.
But your negative feelings and emotions can lead to being overwhelmed, which you're just covering. You're outside your comfort zone. I think everybody needs to go and do something that gets them outside their cover or their comfort zone. You got to do it. Otherwise, you could stay stagnant forever. All right. Did it continue on? Oh no, it's just a different chapter. Okay. Now we're getting into kind of the how-tos. Make your bed. I know Jordan Peterson gets a lot of shit for the whole clean your room chapter, but that's where it starts. Make your bed, clean your room, get started on that, because then those activities move on to the kitchen, the bathroom. Next thing you know, your house is looking nice and in order. You don't got to worry about it. Now you just got to maintain it.
Yeah. No,
and then
that's
you can start applying that kind of scheme to the rest of your life.
yeah. Little by little, if you improve upon things and then all you have to do is maintain them, then it's not that hard. It's when you let stuff fester and stagnate and then you try to fix it all up, it's where you feel the most frustrated.
Mm-hmm. All right. Get yourself a planner. You know, we have these things called smartphones that mostly everybody has.
Mm-hmm.
They have some excellent apps available to help keep your life sorted. You've got calendars, you've got lists or notes, and as long as you keep your phone on you at all times, that can help out keeping things in order. Like my phone, I have a constant chore list. I've got my shopping list because something Blaze will say, Dad, I need this or I want this. They're like, oh, okay. If I don't write it down real quick, I forget about it. And he's like, what the fuck, Dad? You said you were going to get this. And I'm like, shit.
Yep.
Create small goals. I think there needs to be, well, when we're talking about lists, we should have two sets of goals. Your small goals that are achievable and maybe like either your short term, and then maybe your big goals, like your end game or like a chapter ending goal of your life. Something that's a little bit more long term. And what are the smaller goals I need to do in order to complete the big goal?
Mm-hmm.
Organizing your space. Yeah, when you have a lot of clutter around you, it doesn't just affect your space, but also affects your ability to think.
Yes.
I know I got a teenager at home, so when I see him destroy the living room, it's just like, yeah, having, maybe a minor stroke in my head. Because it's like, how do you live like this? And it's his responsibility to take care of it until I end up having to do it. But teenagers. But yeah, having a clear space in front of you creates less distractions.
Yes.
Less distractions means you can focus more on what is the primary focus at the moment and not go, oh, I look at something and go, oh, I see that dust bunny there. I should take care of that. But no, I'm focusing on this. Oh no, the dust bunny. Or what is it? Our favorite things our dogs do when they see one of these. All right. Get a plant. Not sure how I feel about that, but I have heard having plants in your household does help out. Whether
Well,
it's that's like a passive thing, or whether it is like okay, like I like to cook. Sometimes I'll have some herb plants during summertime that I'll just put in the window and I'll use them as I need them.
Well,
But
I
like
think
having a plant, like a big plant, or like they're saying a fern or any other real plant, well, okay, helps learn to take responsibility in your life that isn't heavy or heavy as getting a dog or caring for a child.
well, yeah, I think
ahead.
that's partly the gradual escalation of taking care of other things. It's your
Mhm.
responsibility. I mean, I have
And
a cat. I have a cat now because I did it
Yep.
on a whim, and now I have to do all the things to take care of her and keep her alive. And at least she's asleep
Yep.
right now. So,
Oh, that's good. Well, cats are great like that.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Well, she loves to play though. But
Mhm. Don't use a relationship to fix your life, especially a bad
Oh, yes.
relationship. A lot of us are familiar with the MGTOW community, and I totally understand why they go the way they do.
mm-hmm.
Because anybody who thinks that it's better to be in a bad relationship than no relationship has forgotten how peaceful it can be being single.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
peace is more important than having a bad relationship in your life.
Yep.
Watch your self-talk. Oh, I'm curious what they're saying about this. It's funny how language can affect the way we think about ourselves, no matter how many people criticize you. No one can be harsh the way you are to yourself. Yeah, I talked about that earlier. I've had some ass chewings before, but I'm far harsher on myself than any ass chewing I've ever gotten. And instead of taking down on yourself constantly, try changing your approach. If you wouldn't talk that way to your best friend who's going through something, then why would you be so harsh on yourself? Okay, I can see that, but you kind of have to be harsh on yourself every once in a while to get your act together, kick yourself in the ass, and get your shit in order.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself a little credit because you're more than your negative traits, even if you don't see it yet. Okay.
Mm.
Little positivity there. Surround yourself with the right people. We were talking about this earlier. The people in our lives, especially the top 5 in your group,
Mm-hmm.
are the most important or the most guiding forces you have.
Right.
And if you've got a bad apple in there, it's going to hurt you.
Immensely.
Indeed.
Yep. Let go of the past. I could see that you should let go of certain things in the past, but you need to remember what got you there in the first place, whether it's a negative or a positive event.
Right. But when they
Yeah.
say let go of the past, they're talking about cutting the dead weight. I mean, if you made a mistake, we're all human, we all do. Once you've come to terms with the mistakes you've made, drop the guilt about the mistake you've made. Carry the good lessons, carry the lessons you've learned from mistakes you've made in the past, and move on, but do not let your mistakes in your past define you as an individual for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's kind of hard because you can do all sorts of great works, but you fuck up one time, and that's what everybody remembers you as.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's hard to overcome that.
very true.
Stop complaining. Yes, everybody. Stop bitching and whining. It does nothing but annoy everybody else around you.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure it annoys the shit out of you too if you're
Yeah.
just bitching and whining.
That's why I keep using the phrase that everybody asks me how I'm doing. I say I'm living the dream.
Mm-hmm.
And if people question that, I just tell them that nightmares are dreams too.
Yep.
And that leaves that there's that awkward pause there where people have to realize what I said is true, and they need to figure out if I'm living, what type of a dream am I living, a positive one, a negative one, a nightmare, or what exactly brought me to right where I am right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
Yup.
Although you also need to remember too, some people are just programmed to ask that question. So when you give them the answer they're not expecting, they freeze up. Best
Oh, yeah.
example is it's a little dark, but just to screw with people, I like to do this. So whenever I go to like the grocery store, and the cashier asks you how your day is, and then just to mess with her, I said it's actually pretty crappy. And actually, after this, I might just end it all after talking to you. Completely dead silent the rest of the time because it just messes with
fucked
the
up.
program.
That's messed up.
It is, but you know what? I mean, look, like she was not sincere about it. You know what I mean? Because that's just you doing your job.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just programmed.
yeah.
You're programmed to say this.
Oh no, I was out doing errands. I was picking up food for Blaze, and the cute girl that was behind the counter was way too happy to be servicing my request. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I know what you're doing. I appreciate the little flirtiness, but I know this ain't gonna go anywhere, so I ain't gonna bother to ask. But I'm gonna enjoy the good customer service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, focus on gratitude. Yeah.
What was that one thing for the master resiliency training? Hunt the good stuff.
Hunt the good stuff.
Yeah.
I believe so. It's been a bit since we did that one, and that was a long one.
Oh yeah. But I mean,
But yeah, you need to have gratitude. You need to be able to receive it and dish it out at the same time as well.
Yep. Very true.
mm-hmm.
All right. Self-reflection. I know a lot of us don't like to reflect on ourselves, especially when we're let's say, what's the word? Like it's harsh to take either criticism or feedback about yourself, even if it's you doing it.
True.
I forget the word for it, but people mostly are not programmed to receive reflective information about themselves positively. I've had to learn this too, where, I'm getting feedback and the first thing I'm thinking is, oh, I fucked up. Oh, I fucked up. But the way people have delivered that information, being constructive criticism versus, let's say, an ass chewing or an insult, really helps with the ability to receive the message. So if you're doing constructive criticism, you're probably going to get somebody who's actually going to pay attention when you're giving it to them, versus if you're just saying you're just fucking up, you're pathetic, you're a piece of shit. That doesn't help anyone. Move your body. We need to be a little bit more active than we have been. A lot of us are kind of we got some pounds that we can definitely shed, but being stagnant does not help the body. Get out, move around, touch grass, go for a walk, find a sport, do a pickup game of basketball or whatever you like to do. Be moving, because once you start getting older and stagnant, that's when your body just decides, well, okay, you decided we're going to do the slow burn to death. So we're going to do that. Versus if you were active, you probably will add more years to your life.
That and it's hard to hit a moving target.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what we should just probably tell people. Be like, no, I don't want to be out and about. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Like, well, you're going to be easier to hit than the rest of us. Wait, what?
Right? Right. I don't have to
Moving
be the
targets are
fastest.
harder to shoot.
I don't have to be the fastest. I just got to be able to outrun the slowest guy in the group. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, especially out here in Alaska and bear territory.
Yeah.
It's kind of an unspoken rule. We all may run at the same time, but if we have no weapons to defend and we got to run, it's every man for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Remind yourself that you don't know everything. Yes.
Yeah.
I say that a couple
Yes.
times a day.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is that I know nothing.
Especially with people who seem to be a know-it-all, or they come off as something like that.
Mhm.
Especially
Yeah.
when you know they're incorrect, and then you've got to. Well, you don't have to, but if you challenge them, what ends
Yeah.
up happening? They go into the fallacies, or they go into deflection
In defense mode.
instead of and not acknowledge that they could possibly be wrong.
Yep.
Let go
Yeah.
destructive habits. Yes, we most certainly should. The substance abuse, the bad relationships, being stagnant, not being active, they're all habitual.
Very
And you
true.
can change those. Some are harder than others, but you can change them.
Yeah.
All right. Change your environment. Sometimes that is actually a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people from here in Alaska, they actually get doctor's orders to go move to Arizona because the air is drier out there and it's better for their health. So whether you need to change your environment for health reasons, or let's say a bad relationship ended up toxifying all your other relationships. You can't go out
Yeah.
and about without running into somebody who thinks terrible of you, whether it's justified or not. Sometimes a new venue is what's needed to get your life back on track.
Yep.
All right. This one is something I am too guilty of, overthinking.
Mm-hmm.
I am definitely somebody who will overthink something and just go, you know what, fuck it, I'm not making a decision now. And you can say, fuck it, kick the can down the road. And then all of a sudden, oh, well, my opportunity's gone, or now this is a much harder task than it should have ever been because I overthought about it and did not take action.
Yeah. I know a lot of guys that deal with the overthinking. And oftentimes I end up kind of slapping them upside the back of the head and be like, hey, look, something small happened today. Is it going to end your life? Is it going to end your career? Is this going to be something major that will be a life-changing and a life-altering event? Well, no. Okay, then stop overthinking it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Seraphim brings up a good point. Chase excellence instead of poon. True.
Purpose before pussy, just like in the dictionary.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. Well, if you want to chase the poon, I do suggest that you get your shit together first. Get that together
Well-
first, then go chase it if that's what you want.
Chasing a physical gratification will not fill a void within yourself. Find yourself first, find your purpose, find your meaning, find your peace. Once you have found all of those things, then take on the trivial taxing things within life that life has to offer. And if you're chasing something like that to add gratification or meaning to your life, you have a lot more work to do within yourself. If you think that something that trivial will give you a sense of being, belonging, and a sense of comfort within your life. It's only going to be a temporary fix for you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one. Aim for progress, not perfection. Because I think when we aim for perfection, our overthinking goes into overdrive. And if we do not meet the task condition standards or we set them too high, well, we overthink, we get anxious, and we don't progress. I think this is
Yeah.
where setting short, small goals helps out because you can knock those off easily when it's building up to the bigger goals. You got to take
Right.
care of the little small stuff in order to check off the big goal first.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that goes back to a phrase my old man told me as a kid. Any challenge, any task you're working on in life, no matter what it may be, it's like eating an elephant. It's always one bite at a time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Ask for help. I know I am very stubborn and I rarely ask for help, but I have learned to be less stubborn about it over the years now, especially about learning new things or um, like asking you guys to come on here to help with the stream.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay, not you, Commie Cat. I don't ask help from you.
Comic Cat
You're-
wants to
you're
throw
a
2
distraction.
cents in.
She does. She's being loud about it too. All right. Stop taking everything personally. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We know
Very
too many
true.
people who are afflicted by that. You take
Oh,
things
yeah.
personally, things will not progress. It can hurt and damage relationships, especially in ways that they did not need to be damaged
Mm.
because
Right.
you couldn't overcome your own internal thinking.
Right.
That becomes destructive.
And the one thing that I tell a lot of people, and it really ruffles a lot of feathers, that they struggle with dealing with the not taking things personally. I just tell them, look, I'm like, if you think you matter to somebody else, just remember, they don't mind, you don't matter. You don't mind, they don't matter. That's how you need to start looking at those interactions with people.
hmm
It's the ugly
Yeah,
truth, but
I
it is
think-
what it is.
No, I've been trying to learn it because I'm one of the more agreeable types on the personality tests. And that is a very easily exploited personality type.
Would you
And I've
believe
been
I'm not?
tired of that.
Would you believe I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum, Sean?
The disagreeable, maybe, yeah. Well, especially when somebody is spouting off nonsense, and you have to be like, "No, you're being inaccurate, or you're saying wrong things, or you're deliberately lying." You'll
Yeah.
call that out in a heartbeat.
Mhm.
But I think disagreeable just to be disagreeable. Not
No.
since I've known you, I have not seen that trait. But when somebody's fucking up or saying bad shit, oh yes, you are most certainly disagreeable, like some others we have too.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's got to do
Alright.
it.
Set
Set boundaries.
boundaries. Yes. Because this ensures that you yourself get to remain either intact or protected. Because
Correct.
if you let people run all over you, it just hurts you, and people take your time, resources, or energy away from you that you could use to better yourself.
And setting boundaries can be looked at a number of different ways. Set boundaries with what you share with other people. Set boundaries with
Mhm.
who knows where you live. Set boundaries with what you're willing to discuss in public settings and public places. Set boundaries of who you're willing to interact with in certain people, with certain people in certain scenarios and situations. And a lot of people don't set boundaries. A lot of people let people know where they live, and people overstep bounds, and people constantly will interrupt you, and people will constantly come after you because you've never laid out a boundary with that individual. And that can get you, that can take up a lot of your free time and eat into your peace and eat into your me time that you desperately need to keep yourself centered.
Can't say I disagree with any of that, especially the peace part. Because things that disturb your peace, well, it makes you go, oh, God damn it, here we fucking go again.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Say yes to opportunities. I'll actually read this one out. Grab that job, say yes to uncertainty, and don't be afraid for new opportunities. Of course, this doesn't apply to saying yes to things that take your life on a downward spiral. Thank you. That was kind of what I was really hoping that they were going to say, like, say yes to good opportunities. Don't say yes to just everything, especially if it compromises you.
So yeah, if you know it's going to improve yourself, don't be afraid to take a leap of faith.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
If the risk is worth the reward.
Yeah.
Understand the consequences. Accountability, the one word you need to master, not just for yourself, but everybody else in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And self-accountability is something a lot of people struggle with. They're the first to hold other people's foot to the fire, but they always look for exceptions, exemptions, and ways that they don't have to they don't have to justify their own actions. And
Yeah, they
a
don't have
lot
to
of
be
that
held
is
accountable.
a lot of people in modern society have become allergic to accountability.
Not just, well, on some of the other streams, we are usually on, what is it? Accountability is the kryptonite of women. Well,
Yeah.
dudes are not immune either.
Nope.
All right. Let go of things you can't control.
Yes.
Yeah. Because there's some things that I think, or I believe, either accurately or inaccurately, that I have the ability to control it until it gets so out of hand that now you're at the realization you don't have the ability to control it, but yet you still pursue it anyways.
Well,
Learning to drop it like a bad habit is something we all should learn how to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to expand on that a little bit.
All right.
The way that I look at it is there is nothing that I can control. All I can do is predict the chaos of the pattern, and I cannot control it. I can either work with it or I can't. So it's not that I can gain control over something. I've just been able to, for a limited period of time, be able to predict its pattern, but never truly control the chaos of life scenarios and situations.
Okay. So
And-
instead of taking
and-
control, you're mitigating chaos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're learning to live, learn, and work within the chaotic pattern of the moment in life, because you can never truly control something.
Nope.
All right.
As challenging as that may be.
The only thing that can control it is the universe, because the universe has made the laws that we all have to live by.
Theoretically.
Theoretically. We keep finding new ways to either skirt those rules or find a workaround, but either way, that's kind of where it starts. The rules of the universe set out for us, and then everything else that comes from underneath it. Tracking your progress. Well, I don't say it's necessary. I think it is a good thing to do. That way you can see your own progress being made. So you're maybe not so down that you're not at your end goal yet. But like being in a video game, You could see your progress towards an objective, or you could see like your skill bar go up. Like you may be disappointed you're not where you're at, but then you go out, you do a few things, and you could see your XP build up until you get to your next level. I know it's kind of a joke to say, well, kind of live like your life a little bit like you're in a video game. Do activities, do side quests, do main quests, and if that's one way that somebody can redirect their life into a more positive direction, it's not exactly the worst saying you could have, or the worst metaphor.
Oh, you just made me think of something, Sean.
Oh, what did I just do?
Nothing.
What monstrosity did I just put into your head?
Just kind of listening to what you're going over. I don't know if you're familiar with the poem by Chief Tecumseh. I'll see if I can find it and link it to you in the private chat.
Okay.
But it distills all of this down into a very simple poem.
I believe I've seen it before, but it's been quite a long time. Delay gratification.
Yes.
Yep.
Is when, what is it? Nate, you're very familiar with studies about delayed gratification, especially.
Yeah, Walter
when
Mischel's marshmallow study.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those who can put their, I guess, their little dopamine hit for completing the objective and pass it on along the way down the future versus going, no, I just want this now. I need this now.
Right.
Something that addiction, I believe, has an effect in, because the gratification is getting your little dopamine hit, and most drugs and alcohol, they will flood your brain with that dopamine or the rest of the feel-good chemicals. But the method you're using to do it is inevitably destructive.
Well, that, and also getting something right away and you want to get it again and again, that's just greed.
Yeah.
And versus if you take your time, you put in the effort, you actually build something piece by piece. I know one thing, my brother Brian, all you guys know him, he
Mhm.
built a table out of pallet wood, and he took the time. He took out the pallets. He had to glue it all together, all the panels together, and then he had to put the finish on it. It took him about 6 weeks to 2 months to do, and he's proud of it. He took something that was literal garbage and actually made something really cool with it.
It
And
turned
that's
into
something when it
useful.
take you, yeah, and it's something useful. And so when you actually take your time with something, you are actually, you delay that gratification, you develop a true sense of pride.
Yeah. I actually just finished something myself along those same lines. My great uncle on my grandfather's side, when he came back from World War II, he bought a cedar chest that he kept photos, his uniform, all of his stuff in from World War II. And, it's been around and been kicked around by the family a number of years, water stains, it's been scratched, scuffed, destroyed, banged up, beat up. Everybody in the family wanted to throw it out. Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted it at all. Everyone said it's nothing but an eyesore. I got it 3 years ago. I took everything down, sanded all the hinges, I polished the hinges, the locking mechanism, everything. Redid everything. It took me almost 3 years, and I just finished it last weekend and put the last of the 18 coats of water-based urethane over the outside after sanding the whole thing down and refinishing it, and it matches all the woodwork in my house.
Nice.
And it looks
That's
like
freaking awesome.
It looks like I melted glass over the entire exterior.
Dude, that's awesome.
You mind putting some pictures up?
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah, I could probably take some pictures of it. I don't know where I'm going to put it yet, but yeah, it's I think he bought it in 1946 or 1947.
Wow.
Older than all of us put together.
So yeah, I think I have 14 or 15 coats of water-based urethane on the exterior, and just sand everything. Go to a
Man.
500 grit, sand it down, make sure it's level, make sure it's clean, make sure it's nice, and then hit it with another light coat. I did the same thing to a little corner table my aunt had. She was ready to throw it out. Water spots, dented, stained, scratched up. And it took me 2 years in free time, every day, sand a little bit, work a little bit, polish a little bit. Give it an hour a day every day.
Nice.
Yeah. What was it? I think it was Michelangelo that used when he was asked about where did he find, how does he learn to carve the statue of David out of the marble? He said the statue was always there. All he did was just remove the parts of the marble away from it to let what was naturally there show itself.
Wow.
Take that
Yeah,
into
I've heard
consideration
that.
when you work on yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've heard that as a metaphor for, well, what is it I'm trying to say? Your not true self, but I guess I have an idea about yourself, like your best version of yourself.
Mhm.
That's what the statue is, but you've got this marble, or you got this block of marble that you got to start carving out of it, or have
Mhm.
people carve it out of you to be able to show your best version of yourself.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Journal. I believe that was actually covered above. It's just kind of like a reuse of it, but we talked about it already. Journaling can help you identify thoughts, feelings, things that you want to keep down as a written record. It's one way you can track your progress. And another thing is if like there is a important event or semi-important event, especially one that you want to remember the anniversary for,
Mm-hmm.
or imagine somebody says, oh no, you didn't say that, or we didn't talk about this, but you know damn well that you did. You could put that in your journal and go like, I got to call bullshit because I could pull out journal and the date and the time we talked about this.
Yep.
The
Actually,
other great thing. Go ahead, Cliff.
Well, what was said before was a planner, which is what you do at the beginning of the day, and a journal is something that you would actually reflect upon and write down at the end of the day. I know because I keep my own personal journal because at one point in time when I rule the world, they're going to be my personal memoirs. So,
Yeah. Well,
you got to make that generational wealth somehow.
Exactly. But it's to also kind of show, all right, what did I accomplish today? All right, what did I do the day before, as well as any significant things that occurred? Yeah, it says like also kind of trigger your memory as to, oh yeah, I know when we last talked about this kind of stuff, it was on July 12th. We had an argument about a major family event or something like that. It's sometimes it also helps you if you want to try to remember your own personal history a bit better. That way you can also reflect on yourself better. Is it what I did in the past actually an improvement, or have I slipped? Have I actually not improved at all? And I'm actually going back into bad habits.
yeah. And another nice thing about journaling and writing down what you've been doing, what you've accomplished in a day, good, bad, or indifferent, it will give you a chance to clear your mind.
Yes.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of us have I'm not going to say it's an issue with a lot of us, but for some of us, it's one of those things that's in the background, is having kind of a little foggy mind about things, especially you're just working during the day. I see it on my kiddo, but he's got the ADHD, which he's described as, yeah, it's kind of like that there's a fog in my head that without some of the medication, he can't either dig through or see through that fog.
Yeah. I mean, I don't write my thoughts down because I don't want to poison anybody else's mind.
Oh, you also don't want a written confession, right?
Yeah, that too. I mean, if I were to write my thoughts down and people were to start to read it, they would be very concerned.
Oh, yeah. Anything or combat vets kind of know this all too well. While we might see something that dark humor is incredibly hilarious to us, people see that we laugh at, people turning into purple or pink mist. We laugh our butts off, and everybody else around us is going, "What kind of a monster are you?"
Yeah.
The
Well,
kind that understands about life a lot more than you do because you've never experienced this, and I can't describe it to you with words.
yeah. Case in point of an example like that. This was just a comment I blurted out. I was traveling a number of years ago, and all the roads and bridges and everything were shut down in a town because a guy got some bad news and decided to use a permanent solution to a temporary problem involving a freight train.
Oh,
And when I heard the news of what was going on, I was in a public traveling place, and I blurted out, "I bet you he won't do that again."
Oh, that's messed up.
That's so messed up.
and I'm sure everybody in the cafe is just looking at you like,
The gasps.
"How dare you?
Just,
How dare you?"
Now, did anybody laugh at you?
no, I was the only one laughing. Like, you can hear the collective gasps within the room. And, like, everybody's like, "Oh, don't
Okay.
say that." It's like,
Tough crowd.
'Cause I was going to say, the one who laughs with you, that's the guy you take with you to a firefight. Because it'll have you back.
well, yeah, exactly.
You're not wrong.
But-
Not wrong.
You're not wrong. Or the guy goes, "Good one." But, yeah.
All right,
Uh-huh.
moving on. Write down the pros and cons of your life. I think another one said that, like having like a personal self-reflection. I think that kind of covers your pros and cons, including that. Write down the essence of your life's work. Well, do any of you remember the Secret?
Not sure what you're referring to.
What secret?
I think it started off as a book, and then they made like a documentary series about it. What it really boiled down to was self-projection. Like people were saying, when I make my first million, this is what I'm doing. And it's like they have pictures up of what they're going to get or where they want to see their lives are. And it's personal manifestation. You see it over and over and over again, and it helps reinforce your goals and priorities. That's kind of what it boiled down to, was just self-manifestation, but it made a shit ton of money back in the early 2000s.
Yeah. I mean, mine today would be to not have a psychotic break.
Don't add to the population, nor subtract from it.
Right, exactly.
Or at least do your best not to.
Oh, no, you can subtract, just don't add. We have plenty of people in this
Be
world.
sure it's either worth the jail time,
Or no, in a justifiable way.
or you're not going to get any jail time.
Well, I definitely I need to meet new people.
All right, join new clubs and meet new people. Yeah, especially if they are progressing towards your goals or your hobbies or your support system. Kind of like how I joined you guys here. I just started off talking about some of my horrible interactions with women. And
you've regretted it ever since?
Oh, every fucking day.
I know.
Every goddamn day I gotta deal with you assholes.
But also let it be a warning too, is that the groups that you get with, if they have the same sadistic thinking that you have, what was on paper may actually become reality.
Right.
Just be aware of that.
All right. So this one I'm going to what is it? I'm not
Reword it?
totally for this, but
I can-
go back to school with, I would say, not universities, especially the ones that are well known to be infiltrated by communists and extreme progressives. Let's say
Well-
trade schools, or you go back, or you go to your community colleges and be like, just pick up, like I do computer stuff. Maybe I
Yeah.
could go back to school and start doing classes for certifications, or another part of computer science that I'm not well informed about. But then you also don't need school for this kind of stuff anymore. YouTube is the biggest university out there that you don't have to pay a dime for.
Well, Sean, if I could reword that a little bit, instead of
Mhm.
go back to school, learn something new.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it be how to cook, how to smoke, how to brew, how to distill, how to ferment, how to can, how to preserve, how to fish, how to hunt, learn a new language, learn a new skill, learn something new. Some way,
Yeah,
shape, or
there's-
form. Enrich your life in another form.
Yeah, never
Yep.
stop learning either.
Yeah, your continuing education should be a daily thing to focus on. If you're not
Mhm.
doing the learning now, get yourself into a position to do the learning, whether it's you got to go back to school, or you found your YouTube videos that you put in a playlist to learn more about what you're trying to learn about.
Yeah.
All right. 34. I think this is all one that we can say is not a good idea and tells that this was written by a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
Online dating
successfully
is no go.
I can successfully say in my entire life I have never ever done speed dating or online dating.
I've tried it before, but it as a dude, it is a huge waste of time.
Yep.
Huge waste of time, especially if you end up having to pay for it, because I don't think there's any free ones out there anymore. All the free
No.
You end
ones
up paying
are
for it
gone,
one way or another.
subscription based. Yeah, might as well do it by going out and about, go to the bar, go to social gatherings, and go meet people that way instead of this online thing.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Start
word of wisdom, go out there, don't play hard to get, play hard to want.
Mm.
That's my trick.
I remember your story about that.
Yeah.
Start working out. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Physical fitness improves mental function, physical functions, and you do feel better about things, especially if a lot of your goals are fitness goals. Like you
Well-
want to do that, like Nate's a power lifter. He'd been trying to get that, was it 675 deadlift for a while?
Yeah. Took me
You
10
got
years to
it?
get it.
And now you're still doing it, and you're not a spring chicken anymore, but you ain't an old man either.
I'm an old man, but I mean, I could go back and I could, go back to a routine, and I could easily do it again. I'm confident of that. But I actually just had a conversation with a guy within our community. He was pretty much infuriated, just full of rage. Like he had so much pent up rage, aggression, frustration. He had no idea what to do with himself. I told him,
Yeah,
but
channel that.
well, what I did a couple of years ago, I told him, go out, get some kettlebells. I said, these are the ones you should focus on working with. He didn't want to do it, went to some gym, tried that, wasn't working for him, picked up a couple of kettlebells about 2 years ago. And I'm like, all right, dude. I'm like, he called me. He's like, dude, I don't know what to do. I'm pissed off. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I don't know what to do. I'm like, all right, when you get off the phone with me, put your headphones in. Put on music you like that gets you riled up. I said, pick up that kettlebell and swing it till you can't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And he called me an hour later, and He's out of breath. He's wiped out, worn out. And he said, I don't know how you know that. He said, but I just did a rage workout. He said, I have so much clarity. He said, there's so many things that make sense to me. He said that there is a post-rage workout clarity that frees your mind and changes your entire perspective on things. I said, congratulations. And he's like, how do you know about this? I said, I used to do it twice a day, every day. And he's like, you're kidding. I'm like, nope. And he's like, no wonder you're always so calm. I said, yeah. I said, I pretty much worked that out of my system. So if you guys have been in any heavily physical or intensely physical lines of work, you know, because when you're physically spent, there is a level of mental clarity there.
Yep.
So you said that, and the first thing that comes to mind with like doing a hate workout.
Yep.
See if this will show up. There you go. You put this on.
Yes.
All right, we'll stop it there.
Yep. Yep.
All right, let's bring the other one up because we're close to, well, hopefully we're close to finishing. There we go.
That's what she said.
It's not a Nate appearance without one of those. All right, there's no such word as can't. Well, there is such a word as can't. It's in the English language, means cannot.
True. Technically, the word does exist.
Yes.
Yes. But this is one of the things that was in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the difference between the poor and rich dad. Poor Dad says, we can't do this, we can't do that. Rich Dad says, how do we do it? How do we get to there? Which is the planning, the execution of plans, setting your goals, and things like that.
Well, building on that, and you talked about my goal of being able to deadlift 675. When I would work out, what I would do if my form wasn't perfect, if I get to like 11 or 12 of something and my form wasn't perfect, I would push myself to complete that last 1 or 2 reps. I would rest for a little bit and make sure my form was perfect. I didn't count the last 1 or 2 if it was sloppy. And doing that got me to that level. That's what pushes you through, and that's what gets you to that next level, and that's what pushes you to those points, is having that level of expectation of holding yourself accountable to say, you know what? Some people say I can't do it because I physically beat myself to the point where I can't. My body just wants to give up on that last push-up or that last bench or that last squat or that last deadlift. And your form gets a little sloppy, rest, and then finish it. That will get you past that can't in life.
Yeah. It's not it's just we're taking
that'll build your tenacity. That'll build your tenacity beyond belief.
All right. Take hold of the reins. Stop waiting to be the catalyst of change you want. I think that's a good way to do it. It's taking charge, whether it's your life, the situation, just going out and doing it, getting it done, and getting it done in a way that completes your task conditions and standards. Roxy, you have to hold on. Think positively. Well, that's going to help. But sometimes you can think positively about something that it could be a detriment. Let's say you're thinking positively about a situation that is, let's say, going nowhere real fast. Are you going to think positively about it, or are you just going to, what's the saying? Cut the rope and go. But I could also see that it is, what is this? Don't be the poor me mindset. But think positively, like shit is going, or what is it? The meme where somebody's walking in with pizza to his apartment and everything's on fire. Kids are screaming. Stuff is being destroyed. You can just think about it and go, oh, well, at least I can collect the insurance on this.
Yeah.
Find some way to deflect and make it that way. Yeah, true. But I don't like people who are overly positive about everything, like as if nothing touches them. Don't be that kind of positive.
Yeah, well, that's what I like to refer to as the June Cleaver syndrome, that no matter what's going on, the sun's always shining, the wind's always blowing. Yeah, that's delusional thinking.
Yeah.
There's a big difference.
All right. Organize your surroundings by prioritizing. Yeah, I think that's not a bad way to do things. Organize your space so that whatever your workflow is or whatever you're doing, you don't have obstacles that you got to constantly negotiate over, like kids who don't clean up after themselves. You don't want to be over all the shit that they leave on the ground, things like that.
Yeah.
Stop playing the martyr. I wonder what they think about that. Indulging in pity party every once in a while is normal. It probably shouldn't be doing that anyways, not even at a normal consistency. If you constantly send out the invitation and people stop coming, stop wallowing. Well, woe is me. Nobody likes that. It annoys the shit out of people. And if you're looking to alienate people, be that person.
Yeah, same as stop playing the victim card.
Mm-hmm. Well, that usually happens by people who don't have self-accountability or a sense of accountability to themselves. They will deflect it, or they'll make up an external reason to why things are not going the way they want. You get stuck in that, then you're just going to be stuck there. You make no progress, you regress, and then you go into bad habits, and woe is me even more. And that snowball that started on the mountaintop is now, a 25 diameter snowball rolling down, about to crush the village.
Yep.
All right, did I go that? Oh, stop playing victim card. Yes. Get your vices under control.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
This will bring you down faster than woe is me.
Yep.
The overindulgence.
Self-destructive behavior.
Yep. And it's nice, but it creates an addictive pattern too. And the more you get addicted to it, the harder it is to get out of it. Especially with drugs and alcohol, because those addictions have physiological changes when you try, or when you do it for so long, and when you try to get out of it. Like we've heard the stereotype of trying to kick heroin cold turkey.
Yeah.
It can kill you.
They can.
And
alcohol
I've
can
seen
too.
I've seen that too, where people were, I didn't think this was possible until I worked at a halfway house. People were hallucinating in the halfway house because of alcohol, or not having alcohol, because they went to the the tank, and they haven't had alcohol since their arrest. They are hallucinating. They're not functional. They look like somebody who belongs in an asylum.
Well, the bad part is when people actually get so substance dependent that their body actually needs it in to stay functioning. That's even worse.
Yep. Those are supposed to be, well, I also like what they're saying here. Spending too much, compulsive eating, other vices that are just not substances.
Mhm.
People have sex addictions. People have
Right.
eating disorders. The spending thing, things that are addictive behaviors that have a negative effect on your body or your peace.
Yep. Very true.
All right. This is what we all should be doing because they don't really teach you about financial management in school unless you go to college, which has been my experience. You need to learn how to take control of your money, especially your ability to not spend, especially on pointless shit.
Yep.
Banish procrastination. Yep, I unfortunately am afflicted by procrastination, and I've been working on that. But
Yeah, we all do. I mean, I will openly admit, when I was in college, it was kind of a rush and a challenge to myself to see, what I can do in as little amount of time as possible. Like I knew it would take
Mhm.
me 3 or 4 hours to write a research paper. And I'm like, can I do it in 2? Can I do it in 2.5? Like, that was kind of a challenge to myself. And like, can I still carry 100% in class and write all my papers in less than 2 hours? So I kind of
Well,
set that goal for myself.
make an
But-
internal game with yourself, so when you do meet that objective, you'd be like, okay, well now I get to
Yeah.
break out the Johnny Walker Gold.
Right, exactly. And that when I went into working in research, everyone's like, well, we need we gotta escalate the timeline. Instead of giving you 14 days, you have 7, and everybody's freaking out. And I'm like, I got this. And they're like, what?
Mhm.
And then I crank it out in 2.5, and they're like, how do you do that? And I'm like, just good that way.
Well, didn't procrastinate.
Yeah, procrastinating actually taught me how to do that, and like challenging myself and narrow my time windows for projects.
I'm gonna have to try to adopt something similar to that, see if that can help me be less procrastinating. Right. 45, almost at the end of this, and I think we're just gonna call it after this article. Start telling a different story. I want to know what they mean by this. Think about, you tell someone the story of your life. Do you tell them about tragedy or a triumph? There is mounting evidence to suggest that we all mentally construct our own life story. That sounds about right. And that we make our own reality. We make our own
Well-
interpretation of it, but
Right.
it may not actually be what is true.
Well, that goes back to the conversation you and I had a while back, Sean, where I said, I remember you were there and I said, asking guys if they were the glass half full or the glass half empty,
Yeah.
optimistic, pessimistic. And I said, you're looking at it wrong. I said, you have to look at it a different way to where be happy you have a glass, change your perspective, tell your story a
Mhm.
different way.
I can see that. All right. 46, think all things are possible. I would say to a certain degree, because this can lead to delusional thinking if you can't take accountability of, like, there are certain things that are most certainly outside of our possibility to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I guess using scope or being honest with yourself about what is the thing that you want possible, and just kind of be honest whether you really know you can do it, with improving yourself and overcoming other obstacles, or is it something that, look, what is it? All things are possible. Yeah, I bet every collegiate athlete in NCAA thought that too, but
Mhm.
only about the top 1 to 5% of them get picked in professional drafts.
Well, on the think all things are possible, I remember when I was going to college, had a conversation with my old man, and I said, I'm going to do the absolute best I can, pay the greatest level of detail I can. Like, my goal is to get a couple of 100% in college. My old man kind of chuckled and looked at me, and he was like, look, he said, expecting to go into any college level course and expecting to be able to get at least a 100% is like expecting to see a unicorn when you go to the zoo. My academic advisor reiterated the same point. He's like, you think you can get 100% in a college level course? That's like expecting to see a unicorn at a zoo. Well, after carrying a 4.0 my first 2 years, and making a point of telling my academic advisor and my old man, my academic advisor, the reply I got back is, wow, dude, that's great. And words from my old man is he just kind of look at me and smirk and say, bet you can't do it again.
I'm still waiting to use that on Blaze to be like, let's try that little reverse psychology there.
Mhm.
And I mean, like I said, I was the number one student in my graduating class. Like, I was given my diploma separately by the dean of the university and the president of the board of regents and the director of academic integrity. It was handed to me privately.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Make incremental changes every day, even just 1%.
Yep.
I would like to see more than that, but if that's all you can get within your time and obligation constraints, it's better than reversing your progress,
Yeah.
losing 1% on that day. It's better to either make a little bit of progress versus losing a bunch of progress. Break your grand dreams into smaller ones. I think we've kind of covered this with the take whatever is your book ending objective or your chapter ending objectives and break them down into smaller achievable objectives so that you complete them all, and then now you get to your boss objectives. Eliminate bad friendships. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than somebody dragging you down with them. And that's the
Yep.
worst thing a friend can do is just
That's not a friend.
bring you down. Well, that's true. Friends are supposed to be supportive of each other,
Yep.
Right.
not a leech. All right, and take that leap of faith. Sometimes we feel out of control of our life and afraid to be all in just in case things go south. If you aren't happy with where you are right now, throw caution to the wind and set a course that you can't back out of. I would say yes, but make sure that course has a plan, or you've got, in a moment, Roxy. Don't set a course for something that you know that even though there's uncertainty, that you don't know whatever the hell you're doing. That just sounds like a recipe for disaster. Even though it might be one hell of an adventure, if you're like, okay, I'm not navally educated. I couldn't take a boat and sail. The best I could do is get a boat or a canoe. That's about as much as I can manage. So if I just go, fuck this, I'm just going to get a little sailboat, go buy a reservation on a pier on the coast, and just go where the wind takes me. That's a retarded idea when I don't know a goddamn thing about it.
Yeah. When you were saying that, Sean, the first thing I thought of was Chris Farley from the movie Tommy Boy. When he sitting in that little sail, he goes, "Quit playing with your dinghy."
All right. Well, this goes on to a little bit more, but I think we have gotten the main point. And
Yeah, they're repeating themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. So we're just going to Well, do you guys have any other kind of points that maybe that was not covered?
I mean, they repeated quite a few of them from different perspectives.
Yeah.
I guess one thing that I would say is find like-minded individuals, find like-minded people that will not only support you, but challenge you to be a better you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look for other people to fix you or to define you. Fix and define yourself, and find other people that will hold you to being a better you every day and improve that little 1% every single day until you are a person that you yourself would want to look up to as a younger version of yourself and say, that guy's awesome. I want to be, when I make yourself your own idol, your own, I don't even know the right way to put it, but
Your ideal self?
well, no, like when we were kids, there were, I can't remember the word for it. When my parents were, parents are younger, they had guys like John Glenn, Audie Murphy, like there were
Mm-hmm.
role models. There were people that young people would look up to and admire. Instead of looking to admire somebody else, look at yourself and say, hey, if I were to meet a 5-year-old version of me, would I admire who I am today?
That's a good question to ask oneself.
No, that and St. Louis Arch, the person you always looked up to, it's about halfway there. So basically, become the person you want your younger self to have wanted to become.
Yeah. Become the version of you that the 5 or 6-year-old version of you wearing the Superman t-shirt or the Batman t-shirt, giving the world the finger that's still inside of all of us. Make sure you can be the man today or tomorrow that little kid inside would look up to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a
Yeah,
challenge.
that's a good one.
Yep.
So one of I actually saw it on one of the videos that I got, but that's gonna be that'd be 8 minutes we ran through it. So what I'll do is I'll just take one point out of it that I didn't see on all the others. Your hygiene, making your hygiene kind of a priority and getting your shit together.
Yeah.
Because if that instills discipline, because if you
Yep.
got your hygiene in order, you probably take that to different aspects of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So, trash shops, you got any anything that you think that was not covered on the list we looked at?
No, to be honest, you hit everything on the head. Everything sounds pretty good. There was something I thought of and then I lost track of it. It was something earlier.
All right.
Anybody still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay.
That's somebody in the backstage, and we're about to close out. But I'm seeing if they want to. If they say something. Oh no, they want to hang out for the after party. So I think we will go ahead and close it out. We'll start with final thoughts, and we'll kind of go in order here. I'm going to start with Nate.
Well, I guess I kind of gave mine already. Make a point and hold yourself accountable to be the man today and tomorrow that 5 or 6-year-old version of you would look up to and would admire. That's my challenge. And my last word. It's my challenge, everybody out there that listens to this. Do it.
Yep.
I bet you can't do that again.
All right. Trash ops. You got anything for us?
That's what I got for you. Yeah, just once again, just bouncing off of what was it Nate who said that always be the best version of yourself. So that way, like, you want to be someone that the little you or the younger you wanted to be.
Yeah, that's hard to argue against.
Mhm.
All right. And Cliff, do you have any final thoughts for us?
Yeah. Just be aware you are your own worst critic, because sometimes you are going to either put yourself down too much or you're going to be living in a delusional world. All right. Try to figure out what's between the two. And also, don't be afraid to get an outside opinion from somebody that you trust that will tell you the truth. All right. Remember, the truth is not an attack. It's just to tell you what's happening in your life, and don't be afraid to kind of reflect upon it and realize, okay, this is what I need to, I needed to hear that. Now I need to improve myself. And that's about it.
Indeed.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and kind of throw you all backstage. And my final thought is going to be, it tags along with what these guys were saying. Try to be the best version of yourself, including the version that, 5 or 6 year old you would have expected maybe their hero or their version of somebody who's probably got their shit together, and try to stick with it. I think a lot of people try this out and they fail, or they get stuck into procrastination and things like that. Learn to overcome them to the best of your abilities. Now, go look here. And we'll do our little, seems to be how we end the show every night. You guys like seeing Owl Kitty or Commie Cat, so here's some videos of her.
Everyone here is the best there is. Who the hell are they going to get to teach us?
You two characters are going to Top Gun.
With all due respect, sir, I'm not a teacher. Just want to manage expectations.
Keep absolutely still. This vision is based on movement.